All right. I think we are good to go.
We're live. We're ready to rumble.
Ready
Mate,
to go.
I'm in the middle of making my first coffee of the day. Hold on. Thank you again for the shipment, Brian.
Yeah, I'm glad it got there. It got there pretty quick.
It got there quicker than last time. I think we've had some difficulties with some shipments, but no, we got it in the end. Now, I actually wanted to ask you, I've just grinded, but you sent me a Thailand washed processed beans. What does washed mean compared to like? Is it kind of like compared to not washed or?
So washed. So the condor, the black condor that you like, that's also a washed coffee.
Yeah.
When the coffee's washed, when they harvest the beans, when they take them off the tree, it looks like a cherry. I don't know if you've ever really.
Yeah.
So washed means that they take that fruit off, they take the mucilage off and the skin and everything else, and they're literally washing that off of it, and then they put it on drying beds, and then they bring it down to a specific moisture, and then once it gets down to that level, then it's ready to go. They bag it up and it's ready to go. So and then a natural or say honey process, they would leave. There's different levels of a honey process depending on how much of the mucilage and everything is left on the bean as it's drying. So
right.
Then that's where you'll get more of the fruity flavors. You'll get more of that. With the washed coffees, you're getting more of like the condor, you're getting a lot more chocolate. You're not really going to get too much fruit out of that one. You're getting and then this one from Thailand, I'll be interested to hear if you like it or not.
Yeah.
Your first sip.
Is it a new one?
Yeah, I actually just got that one in a few weeks ago. My friend Blair that I get my coffees through, she had recommended it, and it's from a farm called Beanspire, and it actually came in one of the most beautiful coffee bags I've ever seen. Also, it was really neat, and I'll send you a picture of that too.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, and then I'm going to bring in another natural coffee from there as well. I usually prefer, not prefer necessarily, but I like to drink the naturals, especially with a pour over. I like those flavors that come out of it. And then I think I sent you anaerobics in the beginning earlier, and those ones when they harvest those coffee, that coffee, they'll put it into a sealed container, and you suck all this air out of it. You'll pump CO2 into it. Sometimes they'll use different alternative methods for the to get the fermentation going, and they'll keep them in there sometimes for 20-25 days. I have Sumatra, that's a 25-day anaerobic, and when you drink that, it's like a wine process. It's kind of, that's what they're calling it also, is a wine process. So you get tons of fruits out of that one. It's wild. I might have. Right. Did I not? What else did I send you? What else did you get in this package?
You've sent me. Here we go. How do I turn the? You sent me the Condor, my favorite. All Condor, and then you've sent me the Santa Teresa.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it Santa Teresa? Yeah.
Yeah. Santa Teresa. That's a new one also that I just got from Nicaragua. And that one is that one's a natural. So with that one, I had another, I had an Ethiopian honey. I still have that one. And that one tastes like blueberries. That one's really crazy. I mean, it's not, yeah, you get a lot of the blueberry. You can actually taste it. And then with that one from Nicaragua, I believe I get more strawberry out of that one. You'll see. Okay. We'll see. See what you think.
So just going back to like, it's funny how they've used the word, or like not they, but like the anaerobic. Like when I heard you say that, like when we first started kind of communicating about fitness and coffee, I thought you were taking the piss, because like we were using the word, and we use the word anaerobic in training, right? Again, like what does anaerobic mean in coffee terms?
They're literally taking the air out. So the coffee's pretty they're the seed or the bean or however you want to refer to the coffee is actually, it's fighting for life. So it's then sucking in all the nutrients and flavors and everything else from the fruit, from the outside, like the fermentation process of that. So then after that's done fermenting, or they take it out of these bags or containers that they have it in, after 20-25 days, they could either do a natural drying process with that. They can do a wash process with that as well. And then you'll get different flavors, different variations of that same flavor or the intensity.
Right, that's so interesting, because like when it comes to fitness, that it's exactly the same. Anaerobic means no oxygen.
Right. Right.
So it's exactly the same, which is cool. I didn't kind of realize that. So
yeah, when I started roasting, when I started diving into it, anaerobic was one of the first words that I understood in I guess the coffee world. I didn't understand what it meant, but it was the first word that was recognizable to me. And
okay.
So when I saw that, I just immediately bought that. And then I don't know if you're a fan of, do you guys drink kombucha at all?
A little bit. Yeah.
So I like that kind of stuff. I like those kind of flavors and tastes and the different things. So the anaerobics, to me, that's more, it's almost more along like the kombucha lines, or, wine lines. And
Right.
and then after the anaerobics, again, I saw honey. I was familiar with honey, and then I saw bourbon, and I started buying them based on just the familiarity of the words. And they just so turned out that they become my favorite coffees as well. So it's worked out great.
Well, here we go. You're obviously not having a coffee because it's what, 10 o'clock at night?
Yeah, 10:10 in California.
Oh, mate, that's so different to the Black Condor. Look, I'm no expert, and I'm not I don't know the words to use, but I like it, but it's not as, in my vocabulary, it's not as punchy, I guess. It's smoother. Is that the right thing to say? It's smoother.
Yeah.
But it's different, but it's smoother. I can't think about. So I'll be honest with you, and I hope you don't make judgment of this, but for me, I love my coffee. I love it so much, and you know that. But I'm good at, and my palates are good at kind of knowing if it's a good coffee or a bad coffee. I can't necessarily kind of comprehend the different flavors too much, apart from maybe smooth, as I just said, to a little bit more harsher flavors, if that makes sense. But that's definitely smoother. Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, there's some of these coffees that I get, and they have these different descriptions of what it's supposed to taste like. I'm not getting it, but
that's what I mean.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. When you go to a nice, espresso bar, and they say this is meant to taste like this, well, that's good to note. But I'm like, I'm not getting that. Like, tastes like a really good espresso, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
The main thing that I've learned so far is, well, first of all, with that coffee that you're drinking right now, we said the exact same thing. It's just a nice, smooth, clean cup of coffee. And But we also, when I say we, my wife and I, we tasted more of like the spices, more of like the herbs than the chocolates with that one. And
Yeah, okay.
the few people that have also tried it, they've kind of given that same feedback. The Condor is going to be more, it's hitting you. It's a lot more bold, and but it's still smooth. That's the other thing that I like about it. You know, the coffee, it's not leaving like a harsh aftertaste in your mouth. So
yeah, cool. Is your wife into coffee as much as you are?
No, she
No.
is. She likes Black Condor, man. That's her favorite, and
Yeah.
she enjoys the other ones. And she likes tasting them, and I feel like, just like with mine, it expanding and just getting used to new things and understanding again what they mean, and
Yeah.
being able to take something that says it has stone fruit in it. It's like, well, what does a stone fruit taste like?
Nice.
But if you see these things and you can compare them with other coffees as you're buying them, at least even if you don't necessarily taste that, if you like that coffee, then at least you know that you liked what it was supposed to taste like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know
So
what you mean.
you can base it off of that. And as things get crazier, as I get more, as my palate gets more sophisticated, who knows, maybe I'll be like, if you've ever seen these sommeliers, or however you say that word, for the wine, where they could taste a wine and they could tell you what region it's from, and not only that, but like what year it was made. And it's wild, man. It's wild.
That's crazy. I think I've seen a TikTok or a Instagram on someone like, what do you call them?
It's like sommelier or something.
Yeah.
Sommelier.
And that's crazy. That's wild. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's people with like, surely that's not with coffee these days, is it? Like,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. And those people, I mean, I have nothing but respect for them. It is it is their craft. It is what they live for. It is what they do every day.
Wow.
And again, fortunately, I have a few friends that are like that, and that are able to, they help me out, and I'm very grateful for it, because like you said, I I love coffee now, and now having all of these different beans in my house, it's almost like a little game trying to guess in the morning, because my wife will grind coffee and she'll have coffee going when we get up, and just guessing which coffee it is, which coffee are we drinking this morning, and then and I'll do the same thing to her too, and she's actually getting pretty good at it as well. And definitely being able to differentiate between the washed coffees, the natural coffees, and then the anaerobic coffees. You'll be able to do that quick. And
Yeah.
then you start peeling away all that other stuff, man.
Yeah.
But it's your coffee is training and writing programs, and
I was
know.
about to say, you're talking about those guys that can, taste and go, it's from Thailand and it's from wherever. In my head just then, Brian, I was like, you know what? If I jumped on a treadmill and like put a towel over the speed, I know that I reckon I would be able to play with the speed and go, I know I'm running this, and then play with the speed again and go faster, and then go, I know I'm running this. I reckon I'd be so dialed into the paces of what I'd be doing, which is exactly the same,
Yes.
Which is fascinating, hey. And mate, on that, you've got Anaheim on the weekend, hey.
Yes. Yeah.
How are you feeling, and how's the taper process going?
I feel really good. Actually. The workouts. Sorry, I always have my notes here with me when I'm talking to you.
Because it's Wednesday night your time, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it's Wednesday night my time, and tomorrow I'm not sure. I got to look at it again, but yeah, even though it's a taper week, the workout that you gave me the other day with the push press and all that stuff, I was still hitting PRs with that. So definitely the confidence is there for sure. And just my run, I had a really good run on Sunday. Like I told you, I recalibrated my treadmill. I had been running at a freaking incline on that for the last few months, and I was killing myself. So
yeah, so take me through, like, so you totally recalibrated it, and then you believe now it's spitting out true data now. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, because I went from I would be able, not for a long time, but I would do intervals and I'd get, sub 6 minute pace. And then this for mile, sorry. I'm talking mile pace, not kilometers, but,
no, good.
and then, a couple months ago, I'd get on there and I'd go to warm up and I'd be running like a 9 minute, and my heart rate started going up to 160, 165, and I was getting really frustrated, and I hate quitting workouts, but I'd get off and I'd go run on the street, and I would be in the low sevens, feeling comfortable. And so I couldn't figure it out for a minute, and I kept looking at my treadmill trying to figure out what was happening, and I thought I was just making excuses, but no, the more I kept trying, and then I started looking it up. I recalibrated it. Now it's starts even, starts flat, and then I can adjust from there. And
right, that's good.
Yeah. So now I need to do a new threshold test. That's the next thing.
Yeah, and we'll do that. We won't do it next week just because you've come off a race, but we'll probably do it the next. I'll probably program it for you the following week. Yeah.
Perfect.
I was gonna obviously for the listeners, Brian is in my athlete team, and one of the guys from the team asked about a workout just before, and we both saw that, and it was to do with me not writing it correctly, and the workout was meant to be like a 3-rounder of actually, can I just get it up so I can explain it thoroughly?
Yeah.
It was pretty much a 3-round, kind of like a station workout. No running. Here we go. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I was actually going to explain to the team exactly like the purpose of it. And I tried to, obviously, before, doing these programs for everyone, I try to create the purpose at the start, I think it's the applied strength.
Did you find it?
Is it the
It's I don't see the top of it, but the workout is 3 rounds of 500-meter ski, 50-meter sled pull, 500-meter row, and 100-meter farmer carry.
Yeah. So in kind of programming terms and training terms, and that workout there is kind of like, well, first of all, as I say in the description, right, Brian, is to focus on pure pulling biomechanics. So that's the first thing. A workout like that, and for any of the team that's listening, we have these applied strength workouts that focus on, let's just say, one element of a Hyrox kind of station, and trying to get better at a biomechanics of what we're doing for one specific station, right? Now, if one of these applied strength workouts has a sled in it, that's the purpose, is to get purely volume and get training and get more acute with the sled push or the sled pull. With this one, the sled pull's in it, right? Now, what actually gets you even more fatigued in this is adding 500 meters of the ski, which you're actually using, you know, you're gripping the ski. So your grip is already fatigued going into the sled pull, which is a 50-meter sled pull. So it's not a minute on the sled pull, it's, you know, 3 to 4 minutes on that pull. Back onto the row, which again is, you know, your grip and also still a pulling motion, and then back onto 100 meters farmer's carry, right? The farmer's carry should be obviously your Hyrox weight. So long story short, right? There's always like a focus around one movement. This one is obviously the sled pull, and due to the fact that there's 3 rounds at least, you're really trying to fatigue your grip, but also your pulling muscles, you know, because all of that is your posterior and also grip strength. All right. And yeah, no, I just wanted to bring it up because obviously we're chatting a little bit with the team there, and I'm going to make sure that, you know, what I'm doing, Brian, I can give you guys workouts, and I've realized that that's not enough from a coach. It's not enough to go bang, like I'm going to give you a workout, and like the programming side of things is important, but what's more important is giving you guys the understanding of the workout, why we're doing it. What's your take on all that?
Well, the first question that I have for you is when you have the sled pull in these workouts, are you doing like a 3-step? Are you doing it like you do in the competition, like keeping your feet within a box or something and then pulling with your arms, or are you walking it back, or what kind of technique would you say to use with a workout like this?
If not said in the workout, like if it's not said, you should always think about trying to mimic what you do on race day. So going back to it, if not said, if I state lighter than Hyrox feel or lighter than Hyrox weight, then you've got the opportunity to really change the biomechanics by just using arms, or really sprinting with that sled pushing, meaning you might actually change up your angle of the push. So if you're, like to answer your question, all these ones, unless I've said lighter and faster, we should be trying to mimic what we do on race day, meaning use that 90 centimeter square. And you know, I'll be first to say I don't have a 90 centimeter square at the gym that I use, but I try to visualize it 100%. I try to visualize the square and try to mimic and try to feel and move the way I move in a race. Yeah.
I guess another question is when you're coaching, if you're making a recommendation to somebody, would you tell them to do the walk back technique, the step back, or arm over arm, or it just depends on the athlete?
Yeah, it just depends on the athlete, Brian. Like, you know, I've got a lot of athletes who are racing in open, racing in pro, and then also racing in doubles. So it depends. It really depends. I personally think that the number one thing I always say to every athlete though is that you've got to trial and error. You've got to trial, not error, but you've got to trial every way possible so that you and your body knows which way is the best. So just an example, without people knowing it, there's probably more different ways to push that sled than what you think, because let's give the two examples. Like, we have obviously the one where we're curling our arms around and our shoulders are actually on the poles and we're getting a little bit lower, or we're actually holding the poles tight to elbows and pushing like that. Now, those are two examples. However, there's a lot of different variations to those two examples due to the fact of where you're holding the poles. The angle of where you're actually holding and where you're positioning your shoulders is the most important. So what I say to my athletes is, have a crack at going a little bit lower. Have a crack at actually going really low to see what that feels. Have a crack at going really high on the poles to see how that feels. At the end of the day, we all know that I truly believe in, and also in my opinion, that there's no one way that you should push that sled. You've got to work out the best way for yourself. And also realize that there's going to be times in a race, I guarantee it, that due to the fact that we know that there's so many variables on, like with the sled, the carpet, the sled, etc., that you want to make sure that you've got a plan B.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I've had to I've realized that it's not just me pushing it the way I normally push it, because there's going to come a time where like it's not moving correctly. So you want to make sure you're good and you're solid and consistent and confident at pushing it in a lot of different ways, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. And I tried that. I was just talking to my friend Katie and Grayson earlier. I did a live with them. They're actually doing their first Hyrox this weekend, and they're in the last chance qualifier. So it's their first ever time going to a Hyrox, and they're jumping in the last chance qualifier. But the first time I did a Hyrox in Pasadena, and I got to the sled, I took a couple steps and I couldn't. It was the most difficult thing I ever tried to do. I don't know what happened, and I was telling them. I turned around and looked at my wife, and I thought I was done. And anyways, since then, the sled push is where I feel the most confident in now. And but I like to get in. I put that center post right here against my neck, and I lean all the way in, and I reach across the other side. And I get low. I just get low and I just drive it across the carpet. I mean, and that's the best thing that's worked for me. If I've noticed that if I'm here or if I'm out, I never go out, but either here or here, there's too many things moving for me. And when I'm in the center, it's locked. It's like being connected, like clipping into a bicycle with bicycle shoes. Like I'm without getting all hippie about it. Like I'm one with that sled now, and there's no give against that.
Yeah,
it's been the best thing for me.
I remember you bringing that up a couple of months ago, and I tried it, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't tried it enough to have a say, but it's interesting because not many people that I see in a race do that technique. And what Brian is saying there, like he's reaching to the poles on the other side, and actually, are you holding them, or you kind of just like?
Well, because when I'm going across the sled, my arms now are just straight, so they're locked out too, and then I'm also not I'm not having to like grip. I'm not having to use like my forearms or anything really. They're just there as like a brace. And I think in my opinion, or maybe it's just a mental thing, but it also sets me up for the sled pull My hands aren't as taxed.
Yeah.
And then, and just the way I don't know, the angle, the way that my hip flexors are working, everything. I can come off the sled now, and I can run, and
Yeah.
just, I don't know it. And I've also, like you said, I've seen people, or I've had friends that are pushing it like how you say, and they're dying on like that third length, and I'm just screaming at them like, just get in there and put your shoulder on the post, and then they go, and then they make it through. But I think, like you said, it's not panicking. It's just, regroup, don't give up, and the sled's not gonna make or break you. The thing about that workout, though, that I noticed early on with Hyrox workouts was you can do the sled, and you can make it hurt, but it does not ever hurt as bad as doing the skier, running, and then going to the sled.
Yeah.
Never,
Never.
nothing like it. And
No.
if you're not, in my opinion, if you're not training that, then it's going to be rough.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, and I've said this lately with the team, Brian, that it's going to be rough, and it's accepting that is the most important thing, right? Like, if we're well trained, it's actually being okay with being in that discomfort. That is the most important thing. And I'll be the first to say that's easier said than done. Like, all you want to do is have an extra break and give up or whatever when that sled is like hurting your legs, and you know what I mean. But it's actually understanding that those sleds are meant to be tough. And
yeah.
Like, we talk about it so much about, the sleds here were like lighter than, or I don't know, but I'm like, well, yeah, like, they're meant to be tough, and they're tough for everyone, right? Like, even the best in the world, I guarantee they know that they're meant to be tough, so that's why they get it done. Like, if that makes sense. So
yeah. What about, I also think about the angle that I'm pushing the sled, because I've also noticed that if I'm lifting that back end up, then it starts to dig into the carpet, and you will get that ripple that's kind of in, so you're pushing up against that carpet that's almost pushing back at you if you're in an area where it is loose. So I'm always trying to keep my back as flat as possible. I feel like if I'm too upright, it's gonna affect the way that the sled's laying, or hopefully going across the carpet.
Yeah, like, I had a sled workout yesterday, thanks to Mr. Anthony Pericini, and again, in the workout, when I was in it, I was thinking to myself, what can I do to just trial different ways to push this thing? I was trying to maintain like a really consistent pace with it, but what I'm getting at here is like, like, I was trying to tell myself, okay, like, what if I'm jumping on the sled in a race and this angle doesn't work? So just quickly adapt. As you just said, I think the angle, let's call it the angle, but what that means is how you're angling your whole body in relation to that sled is very important. I think there's a fine line, because I've seen as well, and I've done it myself, where you can go too low and too horizontal with your body, or like too kind of like, like too horizontal, let's just say, and then you're not getting the power through those legs. So, but again, mate, this topic is all individual, because the way, just trying to think of someone who I know that pushes the sled differently. Like, I think Alex Ronkovic, he's a very powerful athlete. I've seen him. He pushes the sled a little bit differently. But again, like, yeah, it just goes back to, like, you just got to keep trialing different ways.
Dylan Scott's the only one that I've seen, the only pro that I've seen stick his head and reach across. And
so he's done that, has he?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's the only one that I've seen so far. And
Yeah.
I haven't, but he how much do you weigh? How much do you weigh right now?
So I'm about 80 to 81 kilograms. So is that 185 pound?
80 to 85. Yes,
yeah,
right around there. Yes.
It's right around 180 to 185 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're not a small guy.
No, like, I've always been about this. Well, not always, but there's a fine line from making sure that I'm powerful and strong, with strength behind me, versus being a kind of powerful runner as well, and a not necessarily powerful runner, but like a light, runner. So, but I know for a fact that around 80 to 81 is where I like to sit, and I'll be there on race day as well. Yeah. So
when you're, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was about to say, like, it's interesting to see the elites that there's so many different body shapes, right? So many. Yeah.
That was something we were talking about earlier also, because I hate saying it. She's probably so tired of me saying it, but my friend Katie, she's smaller, but she's nothing but muscle, and it's impressive to see how powerful she is.
Right.
But one of the things that I was saying was you can show up to Decas and Hyrox, and you'll see guys that look like Spartans. They look like they're going to annihilate everything, and then you see them walking 3 or 4 laps in, and they're done. And so it is very interesting. You never know what's going to happen, or what kind of training they've done, I guess, like what kind of specific training they've done. And I am not by any means saying that I'm on your level or a pro or above them or anything like that, but it definitely, you see it change people's perspective immediately when they do a Hyrox, what they're going to do next. And I guarantee you they're already thinking what their training is going to be before they do their next one. And it's great. It's great.
Absolutely.
And there's so many different things that you can focus on with that. Is there a point in the race? Is there, and not, I don't know if it's like part of your strategies that you like to keep to yourself. Like, is there, like, if you're at the row, or if you're at burpees at a certain point, do you have a set time in your mind where you're either gonna reel it back in a little bit, or you have to push, because at some point, right, if you wait too long, you're not making up time. Like, you're not going to be able to make up minutes.
Yeah.
Like, you got to keep chipping, right?
Yeah. So to be completely honest with you, I've been lucky that all my races this year, bar the Sydney race that I did at the start of the year, right? They've been races. So what that means is I've been racing the 15 men. They've been in the majors, and I've been trying to place. So to answer your question, it has all every race has been different, and the difference is where I'm placed in the race, versus, like, most Hyrox athletes out there, apart from the Elite 15, to be honest, everyone else is trying to time trial. And this is the biggest thing that's not spoken about enough, is that there is such a difference between racing versus time trialing. If you're well prepared and well trained, and you've got a good race strategy, you should make sure that you understand where you're going to, where you should be at the rower. That's the most important thing, because I personally think, like, and I'm trying to think of like when I first started Hyrox, my first couple of races. That's when I was time trialing, right? That's where I'd assess where I'm at. In terms of not assess necessarily the time, but the effort level and how I'm feeling. Because if you can get to the rower, and feel as if you're actually in control, I think that's the most important thing, like in control of your effort, and you're not absolutely out of it, gassed, then you've got such an opportunity to really be aggressive in the back end of the race, because the back end of the race is quicker than what you've just done. It's 3 stations, 3 runs. But then also, yeah, they're tough, the stations that you're about to do. The farmer's carry doesn't take that long though, in terms of time domain. You can get that done. The lunges, the warbles. But what I'm saying is, like, you know, if you can get to that rower and really just kind of, you know, get in control and calm yourself down more than anything, and be in control of your rowing effort, to then go, yeah, I've literally, it's go time, it's aggression now. That's kind of my kind of take on if I was still time trialing as well. But again, mate, again, this is the beauty of the sport, right? You can have a day like that and feel like that when you jump on the rower, and then the next day it's like totally different, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I think, and tell me what you think, but you can regroup on the rower as well, right? You're not going to, like, for me, burpees, I could blow up and it could be a 2-minute difference, but but on the rower, like, I'm not going to go, it's going to be around, 340 to 350. I'm not going to go 320, 330.
No.
And even if I try to cut off 5 seconds to 10 seconds on that effort, I'm killing myself and I'm going to come off that rower destroyed. So I almost, in my mind, what I'm thinking is just getting on that rower and, like you said, assessing, regrouping, calming, because I want to attack before that. I really want to be smashing myself and just seeing, that's it. Just keep thinking that the rower is going to be this like paradise, that I'm working my way to, and it's going to feel so good and everything's going to be okay. And then just, turn it back on as soon as you get off, or hopefully, go from there.
Yeah. And look, like, I think for yourself, I think that's a great plan. I think you should be dividing your race that you're doing on the weekend, like dividing it into before the rower and after the rower, like, especially that, you got to get those burpees done. And I think that's the right terminology to be thinking, right? Get them done, just grind them out to then have that run to get on that road and assess and, get back in, not saying that you're going to be out of control, but get back in control so that you can hammer the last portion of that race.
Yeah.
But you're right, because there's no point going 5 seconds faster on that roller, because that's just going to blow you up for the next run, for the next farmers carry for the next portion of the race.
Yeah, big time too. It's bad.
Yeah,
it gets bad. How is everything going with you? Training still going as planned? Getting you right on track?
Really good, thank you, Brian. Yeah, right on track, mate. Working hard. It's crunch time and trying to make sure that I'm as prepared as possible. And what do we got? 3.5 weeks until until the big dance. So no, going very well. We leave here, Scotland, in 2.5 weeks. So and then I'll be in Nice for a week before the race. So it's exciting. It's coming up very quickly, mate. Coming up very quickly.
Yeah. What do you guys? I have a personal kind of question. Are you guys, when you're moving and you're going to these different countries, are you guys pretty minimal? You keep it pretty tight and make these moves?
It's funny because we've been asked that quite a bit, but we haven't necessarily moved that much because we went from Australia. We had a couple of weeks in Europe holidaying, but then we went straight to Germany. We had 5 months in Germany, and then we came straight here to Scotland. So we haven't necessarily moved that much around apart from the travels to races. But we're very lucky that the two of us that we don't we have everything that we need. It's not as if we're living out of one little bag or anything, but yeah, we make it work. We've just sent home we haven't done it yet. We've got to do it this week. We're sending home a bunch of clothes and stuff that we don't need for the last portion of our travels, just because it's just excess weight. So, anyway, we're very lucky that we're very lucky that we're both on the same page with that. If I was someone who needed more clothes or whatever, and Georgie was the opposite, it'd be a little bit tougher. But no, we make it work together.
Awesome. Yeah, I was just curious about that. I figured I'd ask you now. Yeah. The other thing, going back to coffee, you can also, getting these different flavors and all these different notes, you can mess with your grind size also. So you can mess with the grind size, you can mess with your ratios as far as how much coffee to water you're doing. And you can experiment with that if you have time.
Yeah, definitely.
Your different stuff there.
Just on that as well. So in 2.5 weeks' time, Georgie's actually going to Paris to meet her parents for a few days before then heading to Nice. But I'm going to Nice straight up, just so I can kind of just be in monk mode and dial in before the race. And we were just chatting yesterday, Brian, that we were just saying, who's going to take the grinder then? Who's going to take the coffee? And the reason why I'm telling you this is because maybe, and I hope she doesn't mind me saying this, but maybe a year ago, Georgie wouldn't have necessarily, she has always loved her coffee, and she would have cared about a good coffee, but she cares about good coffee now. So long story short, we have to jump on Amazon or we got to buy another grinder. We got to buy another V60 so that we can share the experience of waking up and having good quality coffee every morning, so that I can have mine in Nice and then she can have hers in Paris with her mum and dad.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's good to hear. That's what it's all about with the coffee for me is getting, just hearing that same thing. That's how I feel, and that's how the last year and a half, there's been a bunch of friends that have had that same experience. So it's cool, man. It's just cool. It's cool. People are excited about it. It's fun.
And like just to end it, and like I'm so lucky that I appreciate that that you send over your coffee, mate, because Georgie can relate. Like on Monday, the last bag of beans was almost done from the last shipment. And honestly, I was like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? Like, I was like, and yeah, I'm being serious here, because I don't want to go up to Tesco and buy any other bean anymore. So I feel privileged and very lucky that I get to, and like, I don't want to sound too corny, but experience my mornings with Resolute coffee. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Well, that's good, man. That was the goal. That was the goal. It was just to again make people's mornings as comfortable, and the last thing you want to do is get a foul taste in your mouth, literally, and then go try to work out. It just fucks with me, man. It messes with me. It messes with me. So,
I can't believe. Sorry, I've got to go as well, but I can't believe Matt B. Davis drinks Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with that guy, but he that's what he does, man.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, but he's converting, and now that he's been dieting, he's been losing some weight, and he's looking good. He's feeling good, and I think and for me, that was paying attention to my nutrition and all of that, and actually realizing what was in Dunkin' Donuts and all that stuff, man. But Matt's older than me. He should know better. He should,
mate. He definitely should. He's hilarious, though.
Yeah. He's a fun guy. He'll be in Anaheim also this weekend. So
yeah, great.
It'll be the first time that we've been around each other in person. We've always just been over the internet. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, and all the best. I'm excited to see what you can do, mate. Because you've put in a lot of months of hard work, so you should be getting to the start line feeling pretty confident about the race.
Dude, I'm ready, man. I wish it was tomorrow. I'm ready.
Yeah, good.
So
that's good.
I'll keep you posted, and thank you for the warm up advice. Also, I'm definitely gonna do that in the morning. So I'll keep you posted, man. I'll keep you posted.
Thanks, Brian, and thanks for the chat, mate. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, James. Have a great day.
See you, mate.